and a computer technician. I do a lot of different things. But in this setting, the one that matters is that I love this country, and I love the Constitution. And it bothers me that we are being lied to over and over again by those who are supposed to represent us. Now, there's a thing that's happened because of that. They've been taking polls, Gallup organization, and this year Congress hit 10% approval rating. There's a reason for that. Even our public schools got 30%. Okay? So, the reason that the Congress is in such disrespect is because of the way that they communicate with us and the way they act when they're back there in Washington. And it seems to me that that should give us an opportunity for those of us that are running to maybe make some inroads and to have an effect in this upcoming election. If you think about some of the things that the Congress does, it gets kind of frustrating. The way they name their bills even kind of blows me away. They called one piece of legislation the Patriot Act, which punishes and restricts the freedoms of citizens and patriots because of the actions of foreign terrorists. It seems kind of funny to call it the Patriot Act when you're actually hurting the patriots. The Affordable Care Act. Anybody know how much the prices of medical care and insurance have gone up in the last few years? It's crazy. And the one that really gets me is some of the titles on the executive orders that come out of the presidency. And it's not just one party, it's both. And presidents historically have not used those to legislate. They have been housekeeping orders to take care of things that need to be done, directing various parts of the government. Over the last 30 years or so, they've started using executive orders to create law or policies with the effect of law. There is a check and balance on that. It's the Congress. When's the last time you saw a congressman stand up and say, "This will not stand if I have anything to say about it"? I haven't seen it. That's something I would do. And I would hope that I would give some courage to the other Congress people to do that. We need to stand up against these unconstitutional executive orders that are being issued. The main problem here is the major parties. They've always been about themselves to an extent, but it's become ridiculous over the last 20 or 30 years in that they're obviously more interested in party power than they are in real solutions. And that's why I'm running. I believe that the only way we're going to fix the culture in Washington is to actually send people back there that are not controlled by either of the major parties. If we can do that, if we can send even a few, we can change the balance of power. They can become the swing vote. You remember the Blue Dog Democrats a few years back? They kind of separated themselves from the rest of the Democratic Party and said, you know, we're not going to vote for certain things unless they meet our standards. And sometimes the Republicans could talk them into voting with them, and sometimes the Democrats could talk them into voting with them. But they were the swing vote, and you had to go through them to get things passed. And they stood up for some conservative principles, even as Democrats. The problem with that is the Democrats made sure they all got voted out in the next election because they weren't towing the party line. We need independent voices there that are not controlled by the two major parties if we want to make a difference. If we want people that will stand for principle instead of party, that's what we've got to have. I've been watching the Olympics a little bit, probably a number of you have. I've seen a lot of ads for the presidential campaign. In every one of those ads, I have not seen a solution to any of our problems being put out there. every one of those ads is attacking the other guy. We have got to start finding solutions instead of trying to kill each other, politically or any other way. And that's what I believe that we can bring as a Constitution Party to the table. We can make a difference. Now, they didn't ask me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've talked to most of the candidates. I've gotten to know them a little bit. All of us are people that don't have a lot of money. My opponent has $20 million in his campaign chest. Now, I don't expect to raise $20 million to go after him, and I don't need $20 million to go after him. I have the right ideas and the right principles. But all of us do need your help. The major party candidates have super PACs and corporations that are willing to give them money to represent their interests. We don't have that. All we have is you. We need help. We need money, but we need volunteers. We need people that are willing to put some time and energy in. And so I'm just appealing to you and to the people you know that believe in the Constitution and believe in our nation, to just look in your hearts and see if there's something that you can do or that they can do. Now, this is a meeting of the Constitution Party. There's some of you here that are not members of the party, and that's fine. We're glad to have you here. But why is the Constitution important? I was asked in a radio interview recently why we even have a Constitution Party. The host said, shouldn't all the parties be Constitution parties? Don't they all believe in the Constitution? And I had to think about that for a minute. But it was mentioned that some people in that same interview, that some people think that people that talk about the Constitution all the time are kind of radical. And if that's true, it's very sad. If we're considered radicals because we stand for the very things that make our country great and unique and prosperous and free, it's not a commentary on us. It's a commentary on the people that think that way. Without the Constitution, we're just another country where the elite rule and the masses serve. Without the Constitution, the military protects and serves the government instead of the people and the ideals of the nation. Without the Constitution, minorities, the poor, the disadvantaged, and the weak are preyed upon, used, or treated as a problem instead of as people of equal value who need to be protected from abuse by the majority. Here's the oath that is taken by every person who enters public service in the federal government. Listen to the words. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. There are some slight differences in the oath for President and for the National Guard, but every one of them requires that statement that the person will protect or support and defend the Constitution of the United States. They do not swear to protect the people, or the President, or the government. They swear to protect the Constitution. States oaths taken upon entering the public office are similar. Utah has this one. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Other states are very similar. Why all this mention of the Constitution? Are they all radicals? Or is there a deeper reason? The reason the Constitution matters is that it creates and sustains our form of government. It institutionalizes and guarantees that the government so created will preserve and protect our individual, unalienable rights from abuse or coercion by that government, and all enemies of those rights, foreign and domestic. It restricts the power of government over the individual, enshrining the principle that government should be of the people, by the people, and for the people. In other words, government is not to be some all-knowing, all-seeing entity that rules over people, but a group of fellow citizens that dedicate themselves to preserving the rights and opportunities of the rest of the citizens. And if you look up here, these are your fellow citizens. These are not elite. These are just people that care. The genius of our nation and the Constitution which created it is that here in America, the citizen is not viewed as a cog in the wheel or a unit of production to benefit the whole. We are viewed as individuals that have values and hopes and beliefs that should be protected. The original Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights laid out the concepts of basic human rights that should not only never be violated, but that are the basic purpose of any rightful government. History has proven the wisdom and accuracy of these principles. To the extent we have followed the truths anchored in the Constitution, we have been a powerful, prosperous, and peaceful nation. As we have in recent years moved further away from these principles, we are becoming, as a nation, less safe, both individually and collectively, more burdened by debt, less free, and more dependent upon government. We are allowing tyranny and becoming servants to government agencies. The government is beginning to view the military and the IRS as its personal guardian against the citizens and the citizens' exercise of their unalienable rights. These are the same people who take an oath to protect and defend, not the government and government officials, but the Constitution and the people, we the people. The reason so many of us are standing today to protect and defend this Constitution, that so many of us keep talking about it in spite of being labeled radicals, is because it is the only thing standing between every one of us and lives lived in servitude. Servitude to debts we didn't ask for, enemies we didn't create, special interests that care only for their own well-being and not ours, and government officials that think they are better, smarter, and more fitted to rule than to be ruled. When government thinks it is above the people instead of serving the people, it is tyranny. It is time to stop the slide towards servitude and sorrow. Stand for the Constitution. Be a radical if you must. You'll be in good company. Washington, Jefferson, Franklin, Madison, Adams, many others were all considered radicals. Every one of them believed the Constitution was more important than the President, the Congress, or the military. That's why they created the oath of office the way they did. I freely and without reservation take this oath. I, Shaun McClausland, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I do this whether or not I ever serve as a government official or representative of the people. So help me God. I invite all of you to do likewise. And since you're pledging to defend it, please read and understand it. Most of our elected officials haven't read it recently, and some of them never have. And that's pretty sad. Please seek out and support candidates who are so radical that they will also defend our Constitution.